What is the best and most value for money car to buy in Australia if you have the money to play with? That is the price category, price range of about 50 to 100,000 Australian dollars, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. This is potentially, I'm not saying it is final, but potentially the last video in this price range analysis series where I tell you about what offers exist there on the Australian market in about May of 2025 and share my own personal opinion as to why certain car may be worth your while and worth your money, worth your while to test drive and worth your money to buy. If you have that kind of cash to play with. First of all, I already said the range is between 50 and 100. If you're interested in the other ranges, simply check my channel for the past few videos. Nothing above 100,000, because that is where I humbly, honestly believe the value for money stops, because cars are depreciating assets, and even climbing close to 100,000, like 80 grand for a car, makes me cringe. But for an average Australian, who my channel is for, this is not value for money range. There is no bypassing of Toyota, no matter how long we speak about Toyota, because it dominates the market. So at the bottom of this newly defined price range, I'm going to mention Kluger 2.5 liter hybrid engine model. Kluger is a wonderful 7-seater SUV for a family. It is from Toyota, it is hybrid engine, it is not even as petrol thirsty as the non-hybrid models are, and you can get into it at the bottom of the range model from 66,000 Australian dollars, which I think, in all honesty, for Toyota, very nice. Also model lineup, Kluger is great. I wanted to have one myself. Hybrid as well. 66 is more than fair in my humble opinion. And then I'm not going to be pedantic on other variants of Kluger, because you could stretch that all the way up to $89,000 in May-ish of 2025 in Australia. Toyota Land Cruiser Prado starts from 78,400, and it's a solid, beloved, cannot be more famous four-wheel drive that everyone desires all over the world. Australia is not an exception, and this new slightly boxier updated Prado look, I actually quite like it. So you can get Prado starting from 78,400 and stretching again with different variances, etc., all the way up to $100,000. Oh my lord, good for you if you have that kind of money to play with. Moving on to Mazda. Mazda is also, in my opinion, it remains a very boring choice, very kind of safe and unimaginative choice. However, they are solid Japanese brands. I've given them enough credit in previous videos, previous price ranges, and biggest credit to Mazda here is the fact that they kind of have everything for everyone. They start all the way from a very povo basic Mazda 2 and can stretch you all the way to CX-90, which is truly luxurious car in the top variants that can be priced at $93,000. But in this particular price range, I draw your attention to CX-60 actually. CX-60 starts from 57. For 57, Japanese car, very nice, boring design. They all look the same to me. That's part of my problem with Mazda. In case you're still wondering what's your problem with Mazda, Dimitri, they all look the same, mate. They all look the same. CX-60, CX-90, if you just flashed it quickly in front of my eyes, I'd say, I don't know which one this is. But anyway, I'm mentioning it here for completeness of the picture. Finally, that we are in this higher price category, comfortably sitting like 60 and whatever, I can talk to you about Ford. Yes, Ford, Australia, and I have to mention two models here. Obviously, you would have guessed. We'll start with Everest. Ford Everest SUV starts from 60, stretches all the way to 90. Don't ask me how they managed to do it, but they somehow managed to justify those little price bracket increments, and you can range all the way within the 30 grand range from bottom of the range to the top of the range. And speaking of the range, there is Ford Ranger, beloved car. Believe it or not, if I paid attention, which I honestly didn't, so I apologize, but here is me correcting my mistakes. I could have included the bottom of the range, Ford Ranger, into the previously discussed bracket under 50 grand, because technically speaking, bottom of the range, rangey, starts from 49, and stretches all the way to 100,000, almost 100,000 for Ford Ranger Raptor. Do I want one? No, I don't. I actually don't. I came to the conclusion that utes are not for me. Absolutely, you don't need to be a tradie to have a Raptor, especially that expensive. it's a style. It's a statement. This car is also sort of a statement. Just I could not think ever that I would ever compare it to someone buying a Range Rover, but it's a statement of sorts. It's a different kind of statement, and it's still a very expensive car. So anyway, Everest and Ranger here if you really want to take them for a spin and consider versus other offerings. I'd say Ranger at 49 is actually a pretty decent value. I would dare say, if Utes are your thing. I'd say so, yeah. Kia, rapidly becoming my favorite brand, to be honest with you. No, it's not of my verdict, but I'm just mentioning it here. Because it also has everything for everyone, and their prices are a lot easier to stomach and a lot more sensible. AKA, if something costs or starts at say 54,600, which is Kia Carnival, the best and most affordable and most people friendly and amazing people mover, which I wish I bought instead of my Subaru Outback. Spoiler alert, if there is ever a trivia, you're gonna win by knowing this answer. So 54,600 gets you into a Carnival. Increments also in that price range make more sense to me because it's not something from 50 to 100. No, it can stretch from 54 to 77. Sensible, make kinda more sense for me mentally. It's easier for me to keep the whole range of Carnival from the bottom to the top of 77,500 within that value for money. For a big family, of course, or for a person who camps inside of the car. Like, it's freaking awesome. Hyundai, sister brand of Kia. We'll start here with Santa Fe. Santa Fe, if you really don't mind this boxy, polarizing, I'm gonna say design of the new rebranded Santa Fe, I'm gonna say that Santa Fe starts from 58. So you can get yourself into a Santa Fe from 58. And if you want all creatures comforts, you can stretch all the way with your cash up to $79,000. And then there is Palisade. Palisade also arguably looks, I was going to say gorgeous. I actually don't think it looks gorgeous. I think it looks nice, bold, great. It looks great. Okay, 7-seater SUV. If you really don't want to get Kia Carnival, but you still want a massive SUV, okay, that's just a choice. Palisade starts from 74,500 and stretches all the way to 84,700, which one might say is still probably fair if, again, this is your style, okay? Now, let's go to a dedicated, polarizing somewhat, but EV brand that I cannot not mention here, and it's obviously Tesla. Let's talk about Tesla. We are now within their price category. If you want to get a Model 3, then you can start from at least the paper-based price is 55,000, bottom of the range. Drive away is going to be more expensive. And you can stretch that Model 3 configuration all the way up to $81,000, okay? There is also a Model Y though. Model Y I kind of like more, and the drive-away price of the bottom of the range is 64 on it. And the top of the range is 74,500. Is it worth your money? Well, if you're an EV enthusiast and don't have any beef with Elon Musk, which I would never make my channel political, and I warn you against that kind of stuff. We're allowed to like whoever we like, just keep the political statements out of it, please, asking politely. Then, yeah, why not? Why not a Tesla? Why not a Tesla? Has its own benefits, 360-degree cameras, truly, and other kind of stuff. You know, it's hard to just knock it and not consider it, in my humble opinion, all right? Let's talk about Volkswagen. Lots of offerings in Volkswagen, and once again, I missed out on including here bottom of the range Tiguan because it fits under 50. But I am fixing this and including it here. So Tiguan, you can get yourself for 48 at the bottom of the range and stretch all the way up to 62. That's a Tiguan. Fairly popular SUV if you really want a European car. Truly from very European, very well known, super well known, even in Australia, brand Volkswagen, okay? And then there is something a bit more fun. Also, like, I'd be here all day just talking about Volkswagen models if I really wanted to, but I'm just pointing out a couple of like pillars of what you see on the Australian roads. Another one is Golf GTI. Golf GTI you can get for 64. It is not value for money, in my humble opinion, but if you're single or a young couple and you really have the money to throw around, aka it is expendable income for you, like you really are not saving, okay? Then I bet it's a powerful, really strong, really both brand and the engine-wise, It's a powerful performance vehicle for you to drive on Australian roads. Very expensive, in my humble opinion. Speaking of dedicated EV brands, let's talk about Polestar. Polestar is another arguably rather gorgeous designed vehicle. I like them. I really like them. I haven't test driven one or driven inside of one. I have in Tesla, for example, but not in Polestar. But for this price range, something that competes for your money is Polestar 2, starting from 64 and stretching up to 68, which is, you know, modest, I would dare say, and Polestar 4, which is more expensive, a lot more expensive, tries to be more luxurious, kind of like representative class kind of vehicle, and it starts from 85,800 and stretches all the way up to 90,000, 90 and a half, okay? Is Polestar value for money? This is where it's very hard for me to pass judgment, because no EVs are value for money in my humble opinion, but I'm including them here because you'll say, Dimitri, you're missing here massive statement cars, and we are here in this pseudo luxury segment. So look, I'm giving it to you for your consideration. Let's go to Jeep, and this is where I am preparing here a handkerchief to wipe my tears off my face, because I own the Jeep. I sold it and I regretted it ever since, especially when you hear about these new prices. So on their website, they say that you can start looking at Cherokee from about 60 grand, Grand Cherokee. I think on road is going to be more expensive than that, but that's what they're saying, so I'm mentioning it here for you. But Wrangler, true Jeep, okay? There is no other Jeep in my humble opinion other than the Wrangler and maybe Gladiator, but Gladiator is a lot more expensive. Wrangler these days starts from 84,000 Australian dollars and stretches all the way to 103, which is out of our range, but doesn't matter. I sold mine for a 50. That is like, it appreciated more than freaking Bitcoin did, okay? So no, we can't travel back in the past, but I wish that there will be a time in my life. Mini, Cooper and Countryman variants. Mini is a gorgeous car. My wife loved it, and if we had other plans to stay for a long time on the Australian shores, I would have bought my wife a Mini right now. Yes, I would. Mini Cooper starts from 49, so under 50 again. Worthy acknowledgement here. I missed it on in the previous video. And it stretches all the way if you go towards EV range. Believe it or not, they have EV range, and no, we're not talking deliberately about it. It stretches all the way to 70. I'd say that for the cuteness of Mini and for the fact that Mini is owned by BMW, actually, or at least it used to be last time I checked, I think they are very reasonably priced. Very reasonably priced. Is it value for money for a big family to fit into? No. But would I get a Mini before I got a Volkswagen? Any day of the week. Any day of the week for a lot less. I would absolutely get Mini. It has class, it has style, it is a cool car, it is also European. So like, Mini is fantastic. Fantastic, in my humble opinion. Speaking of those that are less fantastic, let's talk about BMW very briefly. You can see why. There are lots of models here, and even if I tried to be a bit less skeptical / sarcastic, even though I can do whatever I want on my channel, I'm just sharing my honest opinion with you, right? Like, is BMW value for money? No is the answer, okay? I saved you the time. But there are just too many models for me to give justice to and talk about and spend a lot of time analyzing prices, blah, blah, blah for you, okay? So if we even scroll all the way down here and talk about their cheapest one, or at least what looks like cheapest, the 118 hatch version, petrol, obviously, it starts from 63,000. Starts from 63 in like a Povo variant. So no, it's not value for money, but of course BMW is there for you. Audi is going to be mentioned even more briefly, because Audi is also well established and thinks too highly of itself to put front and center its prices, because they are like Rolex. If you don't know how much Rolex watch costs, don't even knock on that locked door of that fancy shop front, because they don't want you. And that FU attitude annoys me as a customer. No, I would not buy a freaking Audi, and they're right, but I will also not help promote the nice goodwill of the brand that they're not feeling like they're better than others. And this annoys me. So FU Audi, in my humble opinion. We'll wrap this up with Lexus, my friends. Lexus is obviously a Toyota-backed kind of company. much better than any of these Audis and BMWs in terms of support, longevity of the vehicles, better build. I am saying not just from a few friends who drive Lexuses and shared their personal impressions with me, but also by watching Russian channels such as Klubny Service. They disassembled Lexuses. I just don't put this on my channel because it's not really fitting directly into the value cars category of people who play with sensible amounts of money. However, speaking of this price category that we are exploring here, UX300H, for example, model looks okay. It's a nice enough SUV, and it does broadcast that slightly more luxurious approach of yours, and it starts from 63. Of course, with all the models that Lexus has, they stretch far above and similar to Toyotas and whatever. But at the same time, just for the truthness of the picture, you can start with 63. All right. Time for us to summarize, my friends, and for me to render my personal verdict. If I was to play with the big boys in this price range of 50 to 100, I already ranted at the beginning of this video that I don't think anything that climbs towards 80, 100 is worth buying, because it's a depreciating asset. Cars are depreciating assets. Yes, you are making some kind of statement for your private school kid parents group, so that you also are one of the big boys driving that kind of car. And if this is what you do, listen, I'm just jealous, okay? And I'm okay with being jealous in this case. I wish you well, but at the same time, I would never do it. First contender to be a car that I would buy in this price range is without a doubt Kia Carnival. Kia Carnival wins hands down for my personal needs because I love the MPV style of it. I love the fact that it's from a good brand. I love that it's priced reasonably. I just genuinely love almost everything about it. Okay, so Kia Carnival would be my personal choice, but it's an MPV. So if MPV is not your kind of thing and you're more of an SUV but still have a family and still want value for money, etc., I don't think you can go particularly wrong with Toyota Kluga 2.5-liter hybrid, starting from 66,000 and then stretching it a little bit depending on how much cash you have to play with. It will last you a very long time. It will eat very little petrol because it's a Toyota hybrid. It will also resell really, really well. It will depreciate very lowly. I'd say Toyota Kluga, you cannot go particularly wrong with it. If you're a four-wheel driver, you may just stay there in Toyota range and think about Prado. The lowest of the range, Toyota Prado, 78 grand. I'd say it's a bit climbing a bit high for my liking, but it's a Toyota Prado. You will sell it for as much as you buy it for, okay? And it will last you a very long time. That's what I would do. And if you're a fun person who wants to get something that is fun, you want to live a life, you want to get still a nice brand, you want still to have style, you want to, you're not into SUVs. That's why I'm trying to be inclusive here and talk to those people. I would say forget Volkswagen, forget BMW for sure, okay? And go for Mini. Explore Mini range. They're lovely cars, they're wonderful, they're priced reasonably. Again, around 50, yeah, you'll pay around 50 for it, but I would pay around 50 for it. And that's what I would do. I would not look for Jeep right now. That time has passed. They are way too expensive. And I would not look for EVs, but we spoke about this enough. My friends, as always, long video. If you have watched all of it, you are the pillar of this community, and I really personally appreciate your support. With your viewership, with your likes, with your comments, I really appreciate you. And I welcome always comments, impressions, what you own. Maybe you own some of these. Maybe you think I missed out again on something that was absolutely deserving to be here. But like I said to you, we spoke about a lot of brands over the course of these mini-series, over the course of all these videos, and I do think that I spoke enough about them. And these other brands deserve the light of day, in case you're still wondering why did I not go back to talk to you about, let's say, Tank 500. Well, for that exact reason. Because I think in this price range, there are better value for money cars that I just spoke to you about. So there you go. I hope it makes sense. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please give the video a like if you haven't already. I really appreciate it personally. And YouTube algorithm shows the video to more people if you honor me with this. And leave a comment below. What do you drive? What would you love to drive if you had the money? Let's phrase it that way. If you had the money to play in that price category with the big boys, right? What would you get out of this list? Let me know. Let others know. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you next week about something else, value cars in Australia related. Goodbye for now.